always hard to know exactly how to start these videos. But we are going to be talking about the transition to doing this full time and how I guess it's all gone for me, challenges I've faced and obstacles I've had to overcome, whether I'm enjoying it or not enjoying it, and just some general thoughts on it. I did also put out a questionnaire on Facebook and Instagram this morning. I got quite a few responses from people with questions, so I'll answer some of them as well. Just a quick background, if you haven't watched my channel before, I did start making four-wheel drive and camping videos about 3.5 years ago now. I just did it as a bit of a hobby in my spare time. And then for the last maybe 13-14 months now, I started uploading a video, minimum one video every single week. And that was when the channel started to grow and gain some traction. I was still doing school teaching, but I did come from school teaching just casual, so doing anywhere 2, 3, 4, even 5 days a week sometimes, but it just gave me that bit of extra time I needed to do the videos. And then at the start of this year, I made the call not to go back to school teaching and focus on doing this full time, because it was just too hard trying to balance the both. This was becoming anywhere 40-50 hours a week, and trying to fit school teaching in that as well. It was either, do I give up the school teaching side of things, or do I sort of cut back and give up the YouTubing side of things? Meaning I've been doing this full time for coming up a couple of months now, and it's definitely been quite a transition. It's been super cool, exciting, interesting that I've been able to turn what was a hobby and a spare time thing into a full-time job and a business, I guess you'd call it. It's all been such a massive learning curve for me, because I really had no idea about so much of this stuff, never running a business before, never working through all the different aspects of business, that when you actually try and run one, you realize all these different things that go into it that you have to try and work through and understand and get up and running. I'll run through some of the various things I have had to learn and do. The first one, which is pretty obvious for people living in Australia, is you have to have a ABN, which is an Australian business number. Had to get all that up and running and register myself as a sole trader. One of the big initial ones was making a website, which I did myself. I just did it through Shopify, because the website was mainly going to be for selling merchandise, plus just a place I could send people for commonly asked questions, some information about myself. I had no idea how to start a website or make a website or run a website. Shopify sort of makes it all relatively simple for you, I guess, where they kind of do all the hard work, and it's just a place where you need to then make it your own and add in all your bits of information. But it still took me a month or so to sort of properly work my way through it all. And then in that time I was organising merch as well for the first, which is all a new thing to me. So basically getting someone to do the designs, and then finding a place that can print them, and then getting all the order in. So, I had to spend like thousands of dollars up front to put into, buying the merch and getting it organised and things like that. Another massive one, which has just taken me a while, and I'm finally getting on top of all this now, sort of all properly up and running. There's a few final touches that we're doing, was tax. Tax is a pain, and running a business and all through tax and all your ins and outs when you've never done that before is a bit of a nightmare. Because I've got pays coming in from so many different angles, and there's so many costs going out as well. And then I was originally just writing that on a little tax book, but that becomes a fair shambles in the end. What I ended up doing was opening a separate bank account that had its own card, and I could just run the whole business in and out of that bank account, all the ins, all the outs. And then I signed up to Xero, so that's what I've been learning lately. Xero is one of the big tax programs that gets used, where you can run all your ins and outs of your business, and you can reconcile it to link up with your bank account, which basically then it makes it a lot easier for you to do your tax and all your business side of things as you can go. You can do your invoices, you can do your pays from there as well when you're paying people or you're paying an employee. So that way I'm just running it all through there. Now I've got myself an accountant who can help with the tax side of things now. So you're paying an accountant and they're running all your tax. We've worked out that the business has just gone over the GST threshold in Australia. By the time you're actually paying all your bills, your outs, all your taxes, all your GST, then it gets reduced back down quite a way for what goes in your bank in the end. I was running everything from my house, basically my bedroom and the spare bedroom. I had a little office in my bedroom. Then the spare bedroom was just full of cardboard boxes where I was doing all the merch out, and I realized that that was not going to work. We ended up clearing out my girlfriend's garage, and we went down to IKEA a couple of weeks ago and bought a heap of furniture and cleared that out, and we've set up sort of a little office in there now where we can both work from and get all the merchandise out of there from. And it's just a lot easier. It makes it so much nicer and better to have an actual proper space that you can work from. It's only a garage, but it's actually quite nice in there. You got a big open garage door. You can sit in there during the day. I filmed a bit in there earlier to show what it's like, so I'll show that garage setup now that we got going. Do a quick run through of the office setup we got here in the garage. As I said, we got all this stuff from IKEA a couple of weekends ago, and that way we got a nice little setup in here that we can work from. It's actually good. You got all the sunlight coming there during the day through the garage door. Table, couple chairs, couple laptops to work from. Actually, that's a question people ask me all the time. So I do all my editing from a MacBook Pro. Just that way I can edit here, edit home, or edit on the road. Sort of a home desktop one doesn't really work for me. And I edit on Final Cut Pro. That's the main editing program I use. Actually, I just got these the other day. I put a question out on Instagram for some good headphones in the 200 to 300 price range, and the most highly recommended ones was these, the Audio Technica ATH M50Xs. They are. But that way I can have some proper headphones to edit on and sort of properly monitor sounds. This is all the merchandise here we got on the shelves. We got in boxes to keep the dust off it, and then we can package and send it off from here. I'll show you the couple of new ones we have. We got the muscle tees now. It's got the nav drawing on the front and then on the back there as well. And then we got the beard tees, which is just a white shirt. They don't have anything on the back, and then they just got the beard on the front, so they are on the website. Along with, we've got jumpers, shirts, kids stuff. We've got a few. We've got stickers down there. We got another desk set up here, which Demi organised. We got the printer, label printer, so I can package, do the packaging and postage. My Shopify is linked up to the Ozpost business account, and then we can print the labels. We've got all the satchels here, the packaging, you know, just all little different bits and pieces. We've got a few different stickers there. We got thank you cards that we got made up to go in the packages and when we send out shirts and hoodies and stuff. I think that's everything in here. Still working on it, so now I've got to get some things to go on the walls and a few different bits and pieces, but it's a nice little start and a place that we can actually properly work from. I could sit here all afternoon and list all the different things I've had to do to get it sort of up and running and smoothly running, which I'm still doing, but another couple of weeks and we should be fully on top of it all now. That's basically where a lot of my attention has gone, turning it from a hobby into a business. But if I sit here and go through every single detail, I bore everyone to death. And then the other decision I've made is to get some help, because it was overwhelming for me. It was just too much. So I've hired my girlfriend Demi now to do sort of 10 to 15 hours a week work for me, whatever I need. I got her on the payroll now as well. I'm not just making her work for me for free. So she's getting paid, meaning she's my first employee, I guess, which is pretty cool. And then she can help just run some of those behind the scenes thing, because I really want my main focus to be the filming and the editing. For the last couple of months is probably the least forward driving and camping I've ever done. Now, where do I get the money from for doing this? How do I financially support it? As I said, there's quite a few different ways that all that money comes together to make that overall weekly payment. The first one being ad revenue from the YouTube videos. So that's where a good chunk of the income is coming from. And then I'm getting the Patreon money as well. So Patreon is a place where people can support content creators. Then I get a bit of sponsorship money come in as well. And then I get a little bit of money come in from the merchandise and the website as well, which, you know, they all just add up to help those little extra bits and pieces. So selling, you know, I got the shirts on there, I got a few styles of shirts, singlets, hoodies, stickers, bits and pieces like that. So like any business, you know, any shop that's being run, there's no consistent set weekly income, and there's always that variation, and, you know, you got to hope it all sort of keeps working in your favor every week. It's always hard in these videos to find that balance between covering all the information, answering all the questions, trying to put together a good story and information, but then not making it too long and boring. I'll run through and answer some of these questions now, and if you got any other major ones at the end of the video, put a comment and I'll try and get back to as many as I can. Now that you aren't actually going to a place for work, do you lose your personal time? Personal time's probably been similar to what it was when I was trying to do the school teaching, and this for the last year now. I've sort of always been working outside of work hours. The idea is in another month or so, once this is properly up and running, I'll be able to get more of my personal time back. I definitely do think I have gained a little bit back dropping away school teaching, but I just need to get things running a bit more smoother. And then having that proper office space now has been a big one, where I can just go there and it feels better just going there, sitting there and getting through your work there during the day. I just got to learn better to have daytime where I do work, get it all done and then stop, because I find that I just, maybe muck around a bit during the day, get distracted doing something else, and then I think I haven't got enough done, so then I'm still doing it into the night. Is your drinking up, having more time to deal with idiots commenting and the like? I'm actually drinking the least amount I've ever drunk. At the start of this year, I sort of made a decision just to cut right back on alcohol for the moment, just so I could really focus on the business and building and sort of doing the best job I could. Is it still fun for you, or does the hobby now feel like work? Definitely has felt very businessy and work related the last couple of months, but that's really just been that transition phase, which is always the big crazy phase. Once it's all running smoothly, I feel like I'll be able to get back to more filming and video making, which is what I love doing. But in saying that, the business side of things, while it's been hard work, I've found it super exciting and sort of life experience. It's been, it's pretty cool that I was able to create this sort of business from making videos. How do you source the music for your episodes? I get a lot of music off YouTube. Andrew Applepie is the big one. So you have to get copyright free music. He's amazing. He does copyright free songs, so that way I can still earn money on the videos. If your music gets copyrighted, you don't earn any income off the videos. Where does most of your traffic to your YouTube account come from? 90% of my YouTube traffic comes from YouTube itself. So basically the biggest and best way to make your channel grow and to get views is from YouTube itself. So working with the YouTube algorithm to get your video noticed, get it out there, get it recommended, and get more people clicking on it. A big one with that, which I've spoken about before, is titles and thumbnails. You want to make your titles and thumbnails sort of exciting, catchy, that clickbaity type of thing. A few people lately have been saying, oh, your titles are too over dramatic, or you don't say where you are in your titles, don't do this, you don't say that. Basically, the more dramatic and exciting you can make that title and that thumbnail, the more audience you're going to drive to your channel, and the more you can share with people what you love doing. Another thing is I don't number my videos anymore. Like if I'm doing, say, a 4-part series on a big trip away, I won't do part 1, part 2, because if people haven't seen part 1, they're less likely to click when they see part 2 or part 4 or whatever it be. It's always good to listen to constructive criticism, but you just have to be careful, because if you try and do what everyone wants you to do, you'll just end up in complete shambles. Have you faced many challenges to the point of almost giving up? If so, what? I guess to share a personal one for me was my relationship ending sort of 12, 14 months ago now, which is Kayla. People still ask me about Kayla pretty regularly, but she hasn't been seen anywhere for nearly 14 months now. So Kayla and I are broken up. But yeah, that was definitely a tough time for me. Still trying to make videos and produce content. Around that same sort of time was when COVID hit really hard. We went into a 3-month lockdown where we couldn't leave home. My son couldn't go to school either. Basically, man, I was home every day with my son, sort of trying to homeschool him. I'd lost my job. My relationship had ended. Trying to still do the YouTube content during that time when I couldn't go on trips. I wasn't happy to be on camera. So that was probably one of the biggest challenging times for me there. I guess a big one, and particularly I've noticed it now, people that just want to go around and badmouth your name and talk crap about you. All those sort of standard ones, you get used to them pretty quickly. But I've just noticed with people, it's becoming real sort of personal now. And so it's kind of finding that balance of, do you defend yourself? Do you engage? Which it's not really worth engaging in it, which can be a little frustrating, I guess, and annoying at times when you've worked so hard to do this, which is just, it's just saying you have to learn to get used to hearing and seeing, and there's not really anything you can do about that. I find it's important with these videos to cover all the different bits and pieces of information, because if you don't, people will start making assumptions about that and then say you're wrong or badmouth you or abuse you for that. So you really have to make sure you cover everything from all angles. And then the interesting thing is, they sit down and talk videos, do the best out of any videos I do. They have the best audience retention rate. Percentage that is watched is higher than my trip videos. Yet people tell me I just wasted their time. Could have said that in 2 minutes. Can you imagine if I sat down and made a 2-minute video? For me, it's about trying to make the best content and most entertaining I possibly can. That's my main goal. How have you dealt with the stress of the transition from normal work kind of life to now? I have touched on this a little bit. One other thing I'll say is I noticed probably a couple of days after I did that video and made that decision that I started feeling anxious. And I'd wake up in the morning and I'd feel anxious because I knew in the back of my head that I didn't have that job now. This is it. I've got to make it work. And it probably took me 6 weeks to shake that, I'd say. And then the last few weeks, as everything's really getting more in line, I've started to feel better about it all. I'm not waking up feeling anxious. That was definitely one of the struggles I did initially have. Are you worried about losing the passion for adventure now it's your full-time job? I don't think so. I just feel like I've found this passion for creating a business, but I am keen to get back to more the adventure side things as well. It's just been a busy couple of months. I'm more keen than ever to get out there camping and filming. What upload schedule do you need to generate enough revenue to do it full time? That really depends on how many views. As I say, at the moment, about $10 per 1,000 views. And then plus all your other bits and pieces, so you can sort of work that out from there, I guess. I'm putting out 5 to 6 videos a month. I would like to increase that a bit to 7 or 8. Doing every Sunday video and nearly every week do a midweek video. It's still going to be a little bit before I can transition to doing that. Final question here that I'll end on, because this video's gone for ages. What advice would you give to someone just starting out making YouTube videos? I think the big one there is to do it because you love doing it. When I started this, I never thought I'm going to do this to start a business or make money or make it my full-time job or get money or fame or whatever other assumptions people make about people who make YouTube videos. I just started as a way to have some fun and sort of get out that creative side in me that I've been keen to do for years. I'd always wanted to make videos, and for me as a creative outlet, something I love doing and a way to document our travels. And that was one of the things that kept it going for me, was because I love doing it, and then I was super proud and happy of the content I was putting out, and people really enjoyed that content as well. And a few things I did in the early stages, I'd just post my videos on Facebook groups, making sure you get those thumbnails and titles exciting, trying to tell a story from your video, finding your little market or thing that you're bringing to the table. So for me, I brought my own style in, myself, Kai, dad, partner, just that real family aspect. And that's what I love doing. That's what I want to keep doing. For me, it's still that family time of getting out there and enjoying the Australian beaches, bush, countryside. Being consistent is a big one. The more content you can put out, the more regular content, the more you're going to grow. And always trying to improve your content. When I started this, I had never used a camera in my life. I'd never taken a proper photo, never done any of it. Been such a big learning process, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing. It's always hard to start these talking videos. I never know what to say in the beginning. Today's video is going to be about becoming a full-time YouTuber, I guess you'd say, and the transition of how it's always hard to know it's always hard to know exactly how to start these videos. I'll run through some of the various things I had to do I'll run through some of the various things that I have had to learn and overcome. The first one was pretty obvious for people in Australia. You have to have Alright, did I cover everything?
Yes.
All good?
Yep.
Okay, done.
You forgot to say that you love me.
So I think, oh, I can squeeze another ad in there and get another $5 for this video. How much money did you have saved, or how much time did you have behind you when you...
You've come, you shining like the sun goes around, favors all